get started.
Oh, yeah.
It becomes more natural every time I hit it.
Does it?
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll begin our city council meeting for Tuesday, March 27th. And a volunteer for the opening remarks will be Tricia, and we have a pledge by Paul, so go ahead.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that we could gather here together as members of the City Council and be able to make decisions for our city. We pray that as we do, that we will make decisions that are wise, that we will think of the residents in our city and be able to help meet their needs. We are so grateful for the wonderful blessings we enjoy in our life and for the blessing it is to live in this country and in this city. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please stand. Repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now go ahead and do a roll call.
Here.
Paul, start with you.
Paul Crook. Tricia Thomas.
Ty Ellis.
Nelson Abbott.
David Jean.
Absent is Jared Peterson. All right, how about approval of the agenda and time frame?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Before we get into public forum, I would like to just invite the public that if there's ever a time that you would be willing to volunteer to provide opening remarks and you feel so inclined, I would love to hear from you, and we'll take your name and put you on the schedule anytime you'd like to do that. With that, let's go ahead and go into public forum. Royce.
Okay, Dale.
First.
Dale Bigler.
Hey, it's
State your name and tell us where you live, will you?
It's scary approaching a group like this, intimidated by this, but actually I'm going to be here for when Hayden presents his Eagle project. But I wanted to just check and see. There's two other people that have asked about Eagle projects. And I was wondering if we'd given any further consideration to how we would approach the flagpole projects. It seemed like, they cost, if you get that one with the real inside, they're like 12 would be the least and 1,600. That's that range for that. Yeah, for a kid to raise all of that, I think is probably that seems to. Royce was saying there's a couple that had asked about that before when they see how much you'd have to raise if you did the whole thing. I think it'd probably be good to just see if there's a figure that if they raise $700, the city would raise the balance, and then. When we were discussing installation on that, to have like American flag, it was about the same cost as the flagpole. It was about $1,200 to $1,500. If the kid was going to if he's going to install it, that's is actually a major good offset. But I think for them to do that as a project, I think they would have to do a fundraiser to be able to get the leadership part of that. So just wondering if you think about that.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Why don't we meet together, you and I?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is that all right? And you can work with Royce on a Friday.
And then the other thing that one had called me originally, and we were thinking about doing the section that Dean deeded right there by the roundabout, that's a fairly big piece. I think my thinking is that we ought to just reseed it to natural grass, but an Eagle project could be planting the trees and maybe raising some money for on those trees, because we've got the money that we can buy the Parkway project, but but that would need to come from the park funds
Okay.
there, so.
Great.
Just wanted to bring that up and
Thank you.
see if you consider those two things.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Yeah, and let's talk. Okay. Royce?
Bob Paxton from South Jordan, Utah. I've been to this meeting once or twice before, and I've been to the Planning Commission a few times. I'm one of the owners, Bob Strang, of some land at the south end of the city. We just wanted to be here to represent, what we are hoping that the Planning Commission has presented to you, that it might carry forth. And I don't know if it might be better to talk during the discussion of your general plan that looks like it's forthcoming on your agenda, or if now.
Well, we won't have any discussion. It's got to be
Well,
form of a statement, and then when we go to the actual action item, it'll just be a conversation
Okay.
between us.
Well, initially it looked like they were, someone from planning was attempting to change to a CE2, either 5-acre lots or 2.5-acre clusters, and the planning commission commented that we should honor the 1-acre lots that we had purchased it under, and we appreciated that and hope that you as a city council will honor the same thing. I missed the last planning commission when they made their final decision. I was out of town, but it was my understanding that they would cluster some homes so that then we could have more open space in relation with that. And that's just basically what we were looking at. We were also wondering if there's any way that once things start to develop, if there can be any land swapping, so you could take, one parcel and leave it more open, and then bring some of the habitation density to other areas on there to maintain open areas. And we are very open to the fact of having access up into there through trails or whatever, because people need to get up into there.
Okay.
I think that's, Bob can talk more about that.
Thank you.
Wait, Bob. Sheila.
I'm Sheila Thomas with Harvest Park Realty. I represent a possible buyer on some property down on 112,000. Is that what it is?
11,200, yeah.
Yeah. It's just the property right across from, I think it's called Bear Road.
Bear Hollow.
Yeah. So I guess what we're trying to find out is, previously speaking with the city, we were told that PUDs have been taken off of your zoning. And so with the price of the property that we're looking at, it doesn't really pencil out with the densities that you guys have currently on that, just because you've taken the PRD out. So I just wanted to talk to you today about something that we've done with Mapleton City and Payson City, as far as an option to the PUD, just to see what your feedback would be, to see if it would be an option for Elk Ridge as well. So I brought actually, have you guys heard of Harvest Park Realty in Mapleton? Mm-hmm. So it's a master plan community over in Mapleton that has commercial and residential mix. It's a mixed use. So that's kind of an example of what we've done in the past. We've worked with Payson City on a couple of projects that we're doing right now, that we actually wrote the zoning ordinance overlay that would allow for the underlying zone to have an overlay put on it to allow for a higher density, but in turn we have to do a little more design and architecture to the community. So I actually have that here if you guys want to take a look at it. This is what we actually wrote for Payson City. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll take it in and take a look at it, but we won't have a discussion here on it.
That's fine. I just kind of want to explain
So
it.
is this just one packet then?
Yeah, that's
basically?
the actual ordinance that we
Okay.
wrote.
All right.
And we have a couple of projects in Payson that have been approved. And I actually left them out in my car, but so one is a mixed use twin home and single family residential. And then the other one is just single family residential. And you can just kind of see here how it splits it up. That's the underlying zone, and this is what the overlay allows. That's the underlying square footage. That's what it allows for us to do. And basically what it does is it gives us smaller lots, but it creates more open space. And so it's a homeowners association based concept with a lot more open space, but the actual lots are smaller. So it allows for a higher zoning or a higher density. But in turn, we actually do, I brought some examples of some of the designs that we do, and I can just leave these with you.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's look at it.
This is Harvest Park examples, and then these are other examples of, these are the twin homes, and then the actual homes that we do. And it actually describes in the zoning ordinance the designs that are actually in the zoning that we would have to do to account for the densities, the higher densities that you would give us. So it's actually a PRD. It's just kind of a concept that Payson and Mapleton have been really open to. They give us higher density for a higher, what would you call it? A luxury, more luxury type of style of house. It's not your typical box communities. And I think that's what she was saying at the city, was that you got rid of the PUD because you didn't like the small, I guess, trashy kind of looking communities. I don't know how else to explain it, but this actually accounts for that, where we get the same zoning as the PUD, but we make it look cute. And if you guys have ever driven through Harvest Park, I don't know if you guys have at all. Has anyone seen Harvest Park? It's adorable. It's really cute, but it's the same concept.
Okay.
So I just wanted to see what your feedback would be.
Well, we'll
Would
take a
that
look
be-
at it and have to get back with you.
Okay.
So
I'll just run out and grab a,
if you want to leave anything else with
Business
you, you're
card.
welcome to do that.
yeah, and
But
I'll
we're
grab
gonna-
the other, I left some
Okay,
documents.
and then
out
we'll
there.
take a look at it afterwards. And
Okay,
so this is a statement on your behalf?
Yes.
So we don't get a,
so you guys understand what I'm asking, right?
yes, we
Okay.
understand fully.
Just to see if it would be an option for you guys.
Yeah, we'll take it under advisement and probably
Okay.
maybe have a work session on it or something. I don't know, can't promise you,
But
but
you'll let me know.
yeah,
How-
staff will.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
All right, Royce? Bob,
Bob Strang was.
make it a statement. Thank you.
I don't need to repeat
Yeah.
everything he said. I just kind of wanted to clarify what he was talking about on the land, the density credits, to be able to move from one parcel to another. I don't know if that's in the, I think we discussed it with the planning commission, but if it, and when you discuss it, maybe if you can clarify that, because it would help that area to be able to move into areas that can build, you know, and keep more open space, I think.
Right. I think we understand.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
I think that's just
all right.
to do that.
We'll go ahead and go into our first item. Actually, we'll go to the second item. All right? I don't see Hayden here, so. All right, truck purchase. We discussed this the last time. I think it was you, Dave, that asked for the equipment list
Yeah. Yep.
on that, and I think you sent that. Did you get that earlier and look through it, or now, or what?
Yeah, no,
You had it?
yep.
You guys sent it out to everybody Thursday?
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, I got it last week.
Yeah. Okay, discussion.
Can I just leave that with you?
All right, great,
Thanks.
thanks.
So I was, the 550. So we're gonna hold on to that and just run it, because there's no return value on it. So, I mean, so we have 4 vehicles already, but the 550 is a bigger vehicle. It costs more money to run, more money to maintain, right? So, but it's a good vehicle. It's a dump, right?
Yeah.
It's a dump. It'll haul the trailer. It'll haul equipment on it for parks and all that. So I just want to make sure that we have our equipment being used to its best efficiency, right?
Right.
So before we purchase something else, that's all. So I mean, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, of course, that's not
No,
my
right,
place. So just,
No.
I don't know what I think was the 3/4 ton we have allocated to parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know if it'd be good to move things around, or is it gonna be best to purchase another vehicle? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
Right. The hardest part about the 550 is that the bed on that thing, I think you're 12 to 15 feet long with about the same 10 to 12 feet wide. So it's a really long, heavy truck. You can't see, we can do mirror extensions and a few things like that, but you really can't see around the bed. It's not, by no means is it like a navigate the city type of truck. It's a large truck that has a difficult time, and I do agree with you. 550 doesn't get utilized. We don't use it a lot. It turns into more of that backup truck when you have the sanders and the plows on the dump trucks. If you ever had a water break in the winter when your trucks are occupied with snow plowing, it'd be something you can load spoils and dry dirt and different things into. It's more of that kind of we use it as more of that backup kind of, haul some bark, haul some dirt, do things like that, but it's not one that gets used a lot just because it is such an awkward truck to maneuver. It's kind of but it will take a lot of load too. I mean, when we go pick up crack seal pallets, that's what we use to pick up the crack seal. So it has a point, it has a purpose, but it's definitely would be a tough one just as a daily driver. So, and with 260,000 miles on it, it's the daily driving.
When it dies, we're probably just not going to do anything with it.
Yeah,
It's pretty much.
one that we don't want to look at replacing. We just haven't used it like we previously thought it would be used.
See, and that's where we're at. I don't want to purchase something and run into something like that. That's the worst part, right?
Well,
That thing,
then-
if you ask me, it was a bad purchase, but I wasn't a part of it, so I don't know what all went into it, so.
But then by next year, we won't replace the F1, right? The 2005? If we end up not using it, right, Mayor? That's the plan. If we end up not needing it, then we just won't spend the money.
Oh, yeah, that's the
replace this
plan.
guy, right?
Right, because next year's replacement, you say?
Yeah, that's what you said, right? Like, if we end up not needing it, then we'll just use it in lieu of that.
So the only,
We'll just surplus it.
the thing that stood out to me on this, okay, you're the director. You're not in the trenches as much as some of the other guys, so to speak. So in other words, you're getting in and out of the truck. Typically, you're not going to get as dirty.
Right.
Why are you driving an older truck and the water department guy's driving the brand new truck?
It's just kind of.
I mean, I'm just looking at it going, realistically, shouldn't the supervisor be driving the new one, and then when we cycle them out, just move them down the chain so that the ones that are really getting dirty, like the sewer guy, gets the old truck?
Yeah.
That was a question I had as
Why
I
aren't
looked
you
at
putting
it.
yourself at the top of that list?
No, I mean, I just, in terms of keeping the vehicles newer and nicer,
Sure.
from that standpoint, I mean,
So, and that was, a lot of thought went into that. A lot of the purpose of buying the 2018 F-150 with the smaller engine was that as we run around, it does just as much running and even probably more running than what I do.
Okay.
So to keep the fuel costs down, that was kind of the purpose of putting that in the water department. Once you get in the water department, one of your less dirty, meter reading and doing that kind of stuff, obviously, the same as my position, you have plenty of opportunity to get dirty and get in the trench, but it's not as dirty and filthy as parks and sewer and that kind of stuff. So kind of from that fuel efficiency is you can run around town and do the little errands here and there, and then and next in line would be my truck. My truck is fairly, well put together and cleaner, nicer, newer than the rest of them too.
Okay.
But that was one thing that we did consider, was putting me in the new truck. But then it kind of defeated some of the purpose of
okay. Well, you answered my question. I was just looking at it going,
economy, fuel
Double
economy
take.
is
Okay.
that thing runs around town. So is that we were going through about a tank and a half of gas in the 06 Chevy every month, 3 meters. We went through a quarter tank of gas this last month, just a little over a quarter tank. So it's a lot more efficient. So we're trying to keep the meter reading. That's a lot of time and fuel and stuff. So make it as efficient as we can.
So, we need to vote on it?
Until somebody makes a motion.
And I don't even know if I should throw this out there, but if it's gonna come down to driving the F-550 around town, I would even propose we sell that and use some of the money to purchase a pickup truck.
But the whole reason we're keeping that is we can't get any money out of it, so.
Yeah, I mean, minimal amount.
So that's not gonna help.
So I mean, it's whatever you can get for it,
There you go.
you put it on.
Yeah.
And we don't, it's tough because the more you drive it, the faster it's gonna go. And
Yeah,
it still has a purpose,
yeah.
right? So we hate to like run it out, but yet it's not probably one that we are desperate to replace. It's not a critical piece of equipment,
Right.
right? Because we can still deal with pallets and stuff. Even if it's-
Yeah, we can make it work otherwise,
Right.
other ways.
But it is nice to have.
It is nice.
But
It's nice to have.
we're not about having nice to haves.
We're
It's
just
need
what
to
our
have.
needs are.
It's the need to haves,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? I wish we could do some nice to haves.
Yeah.
So you're telling us right now, we need another pickup. We have a need.
If we want to stay efficient as we can and as we are right now, then yes.
So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna, we don't need another 3/4 ton, right? Or a half ton is fine.
You're looking at a
I'm
2-year-old, right? It's what you had planned.
Yeah, I'm still going to propose a 3/4 ton. Is what to pull the. This will be the truck that will go into the sewer and streets department.
Does this replace the 2500?
This replaces the 2005 F-150 technically. I mean, this
Well, we've already placed that.
technically doesn't replace anything. This is.
Oh, yeah, this is new. That's why it doesn't come on the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this has to go on the schedule too, huh?
That's why we're
Why do
stopping.
you guys hate me?
That's why we're like, I told Royce, I said, we have to stop. We got to get what we need and live there, right? Be careful what we do. This is 6,000, 7,000 a year, I think, is what we're talking about.
Yeah, what price are we looking at? 20?
25 to 30 is
2-year-old.
what I originally. Yeah. New as possible with as low as miles as possible we can get.
So it's not replacing anything, even though we're surplusing a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right.
So we surplus this vehicle, we gonna ask for another truck?
No.
No, because it's already been replaced. It's the
This-
2018.
Okay.
is
It's
the one that
18.
replaced that one.
We're still holding on. They're going to get that out. I told them May,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? They'll have that one gone, surplus. And that gets us back to 3 trucks,
Right,
plus the 550.
yeah.
And then they're saying, well, what really we'd like to be at 4. That's what you have now because they haven't sold the one we replaced.
But we
which is
would
tough.
normally just surplus this and not gonna, yeah, right?
We'd normally what?
Just surplus this and we weren't gonna get anything else.
That's where we're headed because they're going to
Unless we make them-
they're surplusing this truck. Period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless we vote to not, then.
Yeah, you can override that.
To
Yeah.
not surplus it? Why would we,
You're the council.
why would we, give me the pros as to why we wouldn't surplus it?
It still runs.
Still runs.
It's not worth much.
I mean, we could use the same justification to keep that as we are the F-550.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tell me why,
But
But
why you would surplus it and get rid of it is it
It's-
runs, but it doesn't run well. It has.
Are you gonna be willing to, if that engine goes out or something, you will willing to put 3,500 into it?
So,
Right.
no.
so right now we're talking.
Get rid of
So you're saying get rid of it before it goes
Yeah.
bad?
Yeah.
This is the way cities
That's what
work.
I'm saying. Sell me on it. Sell me on
Get
it.
rid of it.
Come on, guys. I'm not a car person.
Yeah.
This is the
But-
way it
I
should
don't know
work.
anything
Sure.
about cars.
So what are we talking, what we would get out? I mean, if we're gonna replace it, we're setting aside $500 a month, right, to replace it in the future.
Yep.
That's expensive.
If we sell it, how much are we gonna get out of it, do you
In the
think?
future,
No, in May. The one, what do you think?
35 to 5 tops.
35 to 5, so we get 10 months worth of value out of it if we sold it right now. Do you think it's got 10 months worth of life in it?
I bet not.
It's one of those,
Well, that's why.
20 months, right?
You
could get
might.
one.
You might.
That's why I don't want this.
I don't have a crystal ball, but
Check engine lights on, it's got a nasty knock, transmission.
I mean, let's get rid of it.
It's not in good shape. It has 160,000 miles on it. Just so you guys know where it's at. I'm not trying to say it's there's life. It's gonna run. I don't know how long. Like you say, nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know. But it has some issues.
but if we could sell it and get $5,000 out of it, man, we ought to do it
We're not
yesterday.
gonna get 5.
Or 3 or whatever it is. Let's get rid of
That'd
it.
be the
I
top.
would guess the top is 5, but
You're gonna get 3.
Yeah.
3 to 4.
You're going to be 3 to 5 just based on the mileage.
And remember, that gets applied to the purchase of the,
This guy.
the what we already did,
2018.
right?
Oh, yeah, because that's why we surplus it out.
Well, that's why I asked what it was worth, because then that effectively pushes that out 10 months before
Yeah.
we're actually spending money that is new money, not existing money.
My biggest concern are the 2 points that I bring up. When we hired the 4th guy and we had the 3 trucks before we bought the 2018, there was a lot of calling and saying, hey, I'm at the shop, can you come get me? I need to ride up here. And then it turns into this, for 1, 2 guys in the truck, but 2 guys doing a one-man job because you're already there. I've got to take a garbage can up here and drop it off at this house. Can you come get me? I'm at the shop because I don't have a truck. Well, you're not going to leave one guy at the city office to run up and drop off a garbage can. You're both going to go. Or if there's a sign that needs to be fixed and your streets guys at the building waiting for a...
We have beat this subject to death, guys.
I know, I
We have
know.
beat this to death. We've asked Ms. Kay.
Okay.
We've asked him.
Then let's
does
just
he
make a
need it, does he
motion.
not
Let's
need
make a
it?
motion, and if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't,
Please. If you don't want us to have 3 trucks, then vote it down and we'll live with 3.
The best-
No, 4 trucks, we'll live with 3.
This is a chance to let the mayor vote.
He's voting on his own, yes, just so we make it.
Okay, it's a
If he votes,
conspiracy.
if he votes, it'll be a yes.
All right, YouTube.
Actually, it might come down to that. If Jared were here, he'd vote yes, though.
Yes, you would.
Okay. I don't know how to make the motion. Do
I
I need
can't
to
make
say a certain amount? Like, I make a motion that we approve,
Up to 30,000.
what? Up to 30,000? Yeah, for a new truck,
Truck for the public works department.
for Public Works
And
Department.
we will work our very, we try to do our very best due diligence on what we purchase.
Mayor, if I see you driving this truck around, I'm gonna... Just kidding, I'm totally kidding.
I don't want this truck. I want one of the snow plows. That's what I want to go driving around in.
We'll give you any one of them. You can have all 30.
Does this money come out of Public Works and everything? Is that where it comes out of?
The general fund.
Well, it's coming out of those percentages.
It'll actually be divided across all those percentages.
Okay.
But we capture it over the life of the vehicle, so it'll actually be captured. We have to pay for it now,
Well, they'll still
And
get
we'll
it.
pay ourselves to
so we
do
get
it.
hit with the expense, but we depreciate it over the 8 or 10 years, whatever Curtis, I think he does a 8 or 10 year on vehicles. So that's how we'll basically fund it.
Was that an official motion?
I felt
It
like
was. We're
No
waiting
one
on a
seconded.
second.
What was it? I don't think we heard.
Approve
Royce,
up to
did you hear
30K.
Royce heard it.
Can you repeat it for us?
Approved up to 30,000 for an additional truck for the city fleet.
Done.
Okay, there's a motion.
I'm going to second it so we can vote.
And I know how you do this.
It's
There's
coming.
been a second on it.
Okay.
All in favor?
We're expending money. Isn't it one by one?
Is it 1 by 1? I don't think it is it? We can do it that way if you'd like.
I think we need to, so that, because we...
We'll start with Dave.
Oh, you should start over here. Because the tide will turn.
I'm going to vote yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tricia,
Yes.
and Paul.
Yes.
Are you?
You blew it. We handed it to you on a silver platter.
Motion carries. And we will do our very best due diligence
We'll make him vote on the
on
next
what
thing,
it
guys.
is that
Come
we
on.
do.
I don't want McKay egging my house.
He
tonight.
doesn't,
says,
McKay
"Oh,
doesn't, McKay will always work with us.
Yep, I'm
McKay,
Certainly
egg
if
my
you
house."
want, updates on the stuff he finds or whatever.
Well, if we're gonna replace it, let's not wait till May to get that other one gone. Let's get rid of it.
He's-
Well, that's all I've been waiting on,
Okay.
is to see if we're.
He's been milking it.
Well,
I told him-
all right, but
I said,
now you've
milk
got
it
your
not.
direction. Let's get this
That
thing
truck
gone.
going.
It'll be on before May, it'll probably
Yeah.
be on the.
Because that was the agreement we made too,
Right.
right? That was a replacement vehicle.
So,
Yep. Okay.
it'll be.
All right, let's talk about the general plan.
Wait, we're not doing dark sky?
That's not-
Oh, I jumped the gun. I'm
You
sorry.
jumped the gun. General plan.
3.
Shay, would you like to lead us in?
Sure. Just quickly, I'm going to go through the changes that were made after our discussion
Right.
at the last meeting. So we may not even need to put it up on the
I don't think.
up on the board here, but I will. One thing that did occur during this week is the city was able to get with the Browns, and they did want their property changed from commercial to R1 15,000. They matched that around theirs, and so we changed that as fast as we could. So we've cut the commercial area down a little bit. Well, we've still got lease piece there, but at least there's nothing across the
He
street.
has changed.
We haven't made any changes there yet.
It hasn't, until it's
Because it
official,
hasn't
it's not
been-
official.
Okay. Okay.
So then, the discussion from last week, the concern was placing something in the CE2 and the CE3 zones, which are zones that are up on the south end, that describes the situation with snow, with school bus, and with mail. And so that's what was highlighted in red on these drafts. So it just simply like in the CE2 here, the property designated as CE2 zone is located in the south end of town at higher elevations that see significantly greater amounts of snow than other areas in town. The development is considered in this zone. Special consideration must be given to mail, school bus, and snowplow service. It is very likely that the Postal Service and school district will require that the mailbox and pickup locations for students are centralized in one location on the collector street to provide ease of access. Snowplow service begins on priority 1 streets and collector streets and other heavily used through streets, and then addresses the local neighborhoods. So I hope that, the mayor wanted that a little stronger, I hope that is clear enough. And then address local neighborhoods. Due to the increased snow, grades, and potential number of homes in the CE2 zone, an additional snowplow will very likely be required when development occurs. So I just want that on everybody's minds as we consider what occurs there. Again, adding something else to another line item there.
We might even say additional snowplow or other specialized equipment, right?
What did I call it last week? A Norwegian snowplow, or 2 weeks ago? And then
Okay.
Jared laughed for 10 minutes, but
That makes sense. We talked about whether there would be some kind of special equipment required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so consideration shall also be given for snow storage areas and residential clusters.
I love it.
Cul-de-sacs with diameters greater than the current city standard may be required to address plowing and snow storage issues. Islands in the center of cul-de-sacs and at some street locations may be required to provide snow storage and stormwater snowmelt control. So hopefully, and then in the CE3, I've got the same.
Does that make
language.
sense?
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes
Well, yeah,
sense.
I mean, you put a really big pile of snow somewhere where you haven't designed it to handle the runoff, you could create a real problem in a hurry if it warmed up and melted.
I think McKay would appreciate having some place to push the snow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of, he puts it in my front yard too.
Because
That's on purpose.
I know for me and the staff, we're certainly tired of cul-de-sac phone calls.
I haven't been making those. I will start immediately.
And I'm not blaming the residents.
No, I mean, after a snowstorm, if we have a
I'm
big
not blaming the
snowstorm,
Where do
residents.
you want the snow to go?
people gotta be able to, I mean, my cul-de-sac gets freaking covered and the neighbors can't even get out.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So after a big snowstorm, we gotta go around and clean those up. I mean, what else can we do?
But up there where it gets twice as
No,
much
let's
snow,
fix it so we don't have that
let's
problem.
fix it before, let's not design the problem in.
Yeah.
Let's design the problem out,
Amen to that one.
right? Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, and then the other change to this is under the transportation, this is on page 23. And we just basically want to make it clear some of the issues with designing streets concerning grades with larger equipment, here again, buses, garbage trucks, snow plows, fire equipment, and also making sure that's clear in the general plan about our policy with single access streets, such as cul-de-sacs, temporary dead ends, so that there's no question with that. So we just added a couple paragraphs there to deal with this. As the street system is further developed, it is critical that the realities of living on a mountainside are taken into account. Grades affect the ability for emergency equipment, school buses, garbage trucks, moving trucks, and snowplows to efficiently access the neighborhoods. Grades must be minimized where possible. Neighborhoods need multiple access points onto the city street system to provide alternatives during winter weather and the ability to efficiently evacuate neighborhoods in an emergency situation such as a gas leak or threat of wildfire. In order to maintain effective evacuation procedures and limit congestion in neighborhoods, cul-de-sacs and temporary dead-end streets must be limited in length as well as number of dwellings served by the street. A maximum of 16 single-family dwellings or 24 multifamily dwellings should be allowed on a single-access street. Here again, this is just out of our code right now.
Right, that's just,
We just want to...
that's basic math based on our
Yeah.
frontages.
Yes. And length should not exceed 500 feet from the access point with the nearest through street. Now that's one thing that we just basically said, the nearest intersection, and I would like to change that in the code because we're having a question right now with the expanding the Haskell Golf Course subdivision, which is already 1,200 feet long. They want to make
They gotta have a secondary
jump
access.
without getting secondary access
They've
in
got
there.
to. I mean, that's
But
what,
they're close to an intersection.
But the
that leads to nowhere.
argument is, well, Haskell Landing is an intersection, so we should be able to go another
Right,
500 to 800 feet from that, but so
well,
anyway.
that's fine, finish the road and going the other way.
there's no exit.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyway, it's a whole different can of worms, but here again, we just want to spell it out clearly here, and then we'll make that adjustment to the code at some point. However, due to the larger lot sizes associated with some zones, a maximum of 800 feet of length may be approved for no more than 16 single-family dwellings, where no reasonable alternative exists to provide a second access. Here again, that's just right out of our code. The second access shall be provided with the extension of a street beyond the dwelling and length limits. So in other words, if there is that extension of the street, with that, the second access needs to be provided. It is important that temporary dead-end streets allow for the provision of a permanent cul-de-sac if extension of this street to gain a second access becomes infeasible. Extension of temporary single-access streets shall be shown in the preliminary phasing plan with the development agreement providing for and defining the word temporary with respect to timing of the extension and providing a provision to create a permanent cul-de-sac if the extension becomes infeasible in the allotted time. These measures are critical to allow the city to provide for snow removal and emergency services in a safe and effective manner.
I think that addresses some of the ambiguities that we find ourselves with.
I think so. Well,
And part of the purpose for this is that if our code is, not perfectly understandable or perfectly addresses the situation, we can look at the general plan and see the intent,
Yeah.
right? Which then gives us the direction on how to interpret the code properly. That's the point. I think that's why the general plan becomes so important, right? It's because we can refer to it as our prime directive, and that's what we're all about. It only took me 3.5 years to figure that out. Okay,
So those are the changes since the.
everything
last-
else is the
Yeah.
same.
Everything else is the same.
Did you get low income in here, or moderate, I mean, is there moderate
Well,
housing in here?
we haven't modified that yet,
Okay,
and I
so
guess,
it's as is from the original,
yeah, we have to have it modified by, is it July? It's the middle of July, if I remember right.
of this year?
When we have to have it done.
Okay.
They were basically waiting to find out what the legislature was going to do because they knew there was going to be some sort of action taken.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to look at that bill again to see what we ended up with. I know the quotas were taken out, thank goodness. But I don't know what the final language was that was approved, so.
Right.
We'll take a look at that and then,
Now, this is basically,
Jump into that.
this was basically also brought up as approved by the planning commission, right? With the addition of the red.
Yep.
Is that right? We're not
Well,
not deviating from
no, this is it.
planning
So
commission or
that-
what?
Well, the addition of the red is what city council asked for last
Correct.
time.
That's correct.
So no, that hasn't been in front of planning commission, but city council has the right.
No, but everything else has.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we haven't changed,
Right.
we certainly haven't changed the intent of anything. This is just more clarification.
Okay.
Yep.
So it stands.
So we can accept, modify, or reject what's been presented.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to make sure we knew that we were in harmony with the planning commission on this.
And I guess just to bring up, based on the comments that were made earlier, that CE3 zone, we do have that capability to transfer as long as all the parcels involved are in the preliminary plan or the master plan, so that we can transfer that density from one.
And that's done so that we can protect some of the more sensitive areas.
As long as we show both parcels.
If they're all part of that preliminary.
As long as we've got something in a, or in a development agreement or some, because obviously you can't, with the way plating is done, you have to plat contiguous, but we can put that in a development agreement or some, and make sure it's in the approved preliminary so that we have
That
something
makes sense.
recorded that spells that out.
What are you waiting for, Mayor?
How often can we update this? As
can
often as we
update-
dare?
5 years.
Is it?
No,
is-
that was
We have to do it
Oh,
every,
yeah,
have
council.
So you have to do it every 5 years.
to do it every 5 years.
However, the moderate income section, moderate income housing has to be done every 2 years. But we had basically written into this plan, if we have a annexation that comes in, or you have a large development, and in effect, going through that, we see that changes the community in some way, that we need to relook at it,
Right.
whether it's demographics or whatever, we'll try to deal with it at that time.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's worthy of passage, personally. Any thoughts other than that? I mean,
So,
what are your, I mean,
I think it's great. What were you saying about the changing of the income thing? Do we need to do that?
we'll have to do
We
that
can't because we don't have the numbers
When we
to
get the data
do
for
that,
that.
so it'll be updated at that point.
So-
in July, you said? June?
So-
So by the middle of July, we have to have that done.
So we'll have to update it then. So what I'm saying is, will we have to pay to have it updated twice? Like, don't we have to have a
No.
lawyer do something?
No?
No, we
No.
just voted
You
for
are the
that.
legislative body and
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if it had to go through that, or I didn't want to pay for twice or something.
no, I don't want to pay it once.
Okay, let's
I
do
want
it
to use my
then.
legal fees for something else.
Your lawsuits. All right.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the general plan as outlined tonight.
Oh, wait. Do you want to fix your spelling error? Okay.
So, Nelson made a motion. Paul seconds it. We don't have to do a roll call, do we? We don't adopt this by resolution, right? It's just,
Well, let's just do roll call and we'll just be
Then
safe.
you're covered.
I would assume we would do this by resolution.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is resolution.
Is it by resolution? Probably is.
I think it is.
Do we have to have a number?
The
Oh,
year,
man.
the
Okay.
month,
I love
Okay,
Let's
hang on.
restate it.
So the year,
the month,
Give him
the
the
month,
the date,
The day of today, right?
dash 1R.
okay.
I don't know.
I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2017-327-1R, general plan, allowing for scrivener's errors.
Say the number again one more time.
2017-327-1R.
2018?
Oh, 18.
Good catch.
Nelson, what year are we? And you're making fun of me.
Sorry, I've been doing my taxes. I've got 17 on my mind, quite a bit.
So you better do it again.
Okay, so I'll make a motion, we pass resolution 2018-327-1R, general plan, allowing for scrivener's errors to be corrected as needed.
Motion.
Also second it.
Paul seconds it. Let's start with roll call vote. We'll start with Tricia.
Yes. I.
Nelson.
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously with one absent. Jared absent. We have a general plan. How long have we been working on it?
Since I was,
Since I've been on the commission, it's like 2 years.
Since you were on the planning commission?
Yeah, that's a notable event.
Yeah, we need a nice cover for it. So this spring, when the wildflowers come out, I want to take a picture of the city from some nice
I got
angle.
time.
We just need to take a drone up top,
Yeah.
up by the water tower when the flowers are out, and we can get an amazing picture up there.
that'll be August this year.
All right, let's talk about the next item, which I believe is dark sky.
No.
Planning Commission, Jim has asked for a few minutes to address us, to give us the recommendation and thoughts of the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're up. I almost forgot, Jim, but
I was wondering.
I would hope you raised your hand if I would have, but
I would have.
thank you.
As this came before the planning commission, one of the first things we thought of, well, here's another ordinance, another big brother looking over us. But, you know, as a group, I think we weighed as, we've got basically a dark sky community now, and we kind of want to keep it that way, you know, we enjoy it. But to keep it that way, sometimes you got to put things in place that maybe you don't like. And that's kind of where we went with this, we moved forward on it. Last time we had a planning commission meeting, our city planner came up with a draft that everybody felt pretty good with, but they wanted to see it in a final written form. So it was submitted to us as option 1, option 2, or option 3. And we did a poll vote over the weekend, so this will be expedited in front of the city council. Option 1, I don't remember the details. 2 is what most of them preferred, which is what is before you. Option 3 was no code at all, just leave it as is. So we had 5 votes for option 2 and 1 vote for option 3. Again, the concern is, you know, we're being more big brother. And there were 2 commission members that were really concerned about how this affects residential. And early in our working through this ordinance and developing it, it would affect all residential, existing as well as new. And the existing at some point would have to convert over to a bigger lighting system. And there was a lot of concern about that, again, about the big brother. So that part was taken out. Even with that, now it only affects new residential. There's still some concern with a couple of commission members that were really teetering, do we really want to impact new residential also, or do we let Big Brother kind of come in and have this ordinance and let it go through? Ended up they voted for option 2 instead of option 3. Had they voted the other way, it would have been a tie vote, 3-3. So we as a commission, you know, weighted this heavily. It's, you know, it's a new ordinance, something that is new to Elkridge. Other communities are doing it. I grew up in an area out in the country where the Milky Way was up there. It was so dark it'd feel like you could touch it. And so I know what the dark sky is like, and it's really great. And you've been out in the mountains and stuff in summertime and wintertime, you know that too. So it's something we want to keep for our community, look forward to commission. The commission, I think, is pretty well on board with the way they voted. There's one part that Shay has added, reinforcing that under exemptions, that existing housing, lighting on existing housing is exempt. It's more specific. That was a suggestion from one of the commission members when we did the poll vote. So that's been added to it. That's in red in front of you there. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Robert? Was public safety with having lights on the outside of the house was brought up at all and talked about?
Not really.
Have you done your research on that? Because it is not a deterrent for theft.
Sure.
As someone who watches the ID channel 24 hours a day, let me tell you right now, it is not
Taking your car out of your garage, did it?
Didn't stop him from coming in my house, stealing our car keys and stealing my car.
The biggest deterrent is a
Somebody stole
dog.
your car?
Your biggest deterrent is a dog.
A few years ago.
A couple years ago.
True story. I mean,
And the spotlights were glaring from the neighbors all over the place. And
it's not a deterrent.
creates great shadows, awesome shadows.
Information, we did, that was discussed a little bit, but what lights do, they create shadows for people to hide in.
Shadows and glare.
Yeah.
I saw Dateline's whole thing on this, you guys. I'm not even kidding. Stop making fun of me. This is what I know, okay? Murders. Lights do not help. People are getting killed right and left.
No one's asking.
Your biggest deterrent is a dog.
No
Your
one's.
biggest, yes, your biggest deterrent.
Biggest deterrent's a gun.
Good.
They don't know if you have a gun.
Well, I know, that's
Okay.
the element of surprise.
Okay.
We digress.
Just
Just justifying my dog.
right.
I just have enough light to know what I'm shooting at.
So there was some concern about this becoming an HOA field.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I put some thought into it and thinking to myself, how is this any different than chaining up your dog to your house and letting it bark? Because if you're out trying to relax and listen to the nice quiet evenings and you got a dog going off in your neighborhood, right? That's really annoying. That's not a lot different than trying to enjoy the night evening skies and having somebody's floodlight shine in your eyes. So what this really boils down to is, it doesn't matter how much brick you have on your home or what the stucco ratio is or the colors or how tall your flagpole is or how many flags you fly or any of those kind of things. It's keep your light to yourself. It's about light trespass, sky glow, and glare. And we have an opportunity to stem the tide that comes with what I think is the improved lighting that is a result of LEDs and the desire to crank it up. And we'll lose, particularly all through the areas in our town that aren't developed. Most of our towns are right now pretty reasonable, even though it's not dark sky compliant lighting. But, there are some that are starting to really outdo themselves on the amount of glare and whatnot, right?
When I build these.
So it's time to protect our city.
Tim Taylor.
Part of the general plan, we need to either take it seriously or we throw it out and become Salem. Or whatever town you want to name, right?
Las
Cedar
Vegas.
Hills or whatever, right?
Vegas.
Come on, they own it.
That was kind of a stretch.
No, but they've owned it. They have owned it.
Yeah, they have.
So that's kind of my pitch.
Okay.
I think it's worthy of our city. It is a characterization of our city. Right?
I don't look at it as like a big brother. I look at it more as a protection that we can enjoy what's already there. Right? I mean, that's my opinion. I actually I'm in complete favor of this, and I wouldn't be against telling people they have to switch out their stuff to become compliant. But I realize that my house will be egged, so I won't do that. My neighbors already hate this.
I put these lights in, a year and a half ago when I built my garage, and I goobered because I didn't put compliant light in. I wish I would have put the right kind of light in. I think
Mayor's a hypocrite.
I think that a nice downlight, a nice shielded lighting actually accents your home better because you lose the glare.
Yep.
right? And that's, I wish I wouldn't have done what I've done, and I'll probably end up replacing my lights because I like the look. Not only that, then
Then I can walk out and see the Milky Way.
you can walk out with that one time a month that I actually have my lights on, right?
Yeah.
I leave mine on every night, all night.
No.
Anyway,
Yeah,
enough
I-
said by me. I think,
Okay.
you know how I feel about it.
Well, with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we approve the dark sky code with, do we need a number on this one too, Royce? We don't, do we?
Yes.
And
It's gonna be an 18.
R2?
Three,
That's R2.
2,
3, 18-3, I think.
8.
Where's 2?
Well, we've done 2 of the others this year.
We've had 2 other code amendments this year.
Oh,
So this will be
This is
18-3.
I can't count. The 3.
Did you go to BYU?
No.
You know I had to say that.
And we are in good company with other cities that are doing
Okay.
this as well. This is
I
not,
think it's great. It says it in our general plan.
does.
He still doesn't have the number, Royce. What is
Yeah,
18-3.
Nelson's
18,
sweating
that's
bullets
it?
over here.
just
What, 2,
18?
18-3.
That's
Okay,
it.
Oh,
I'll make
so
a motion that
no
we
20.
we pass Code Amendment 2018-3 dark sky compliance.
Can I have
With
you
the
add
date?
one thing in there?
Yes.
Actually, now I'm saying this, two things. So the, under applicability, under number 2, if this was added after the planning commission made the poll vote and
Okay.
suggested this statement, so we
So-
just need to add that in. And then I also noticed,
So can I just say as amended or
sure,
presented?
let's just do that.
As
Takes
presented.
care- That takes care of
There we go,
everything.
yeah.
Okay.
The thing-
No, but what else was you going to say, though?
The thing on the back page that's in red probably. Is that the lumens thing?
No, that one was always there.
Yeah.
So,
What else is there?
under the
Lumens thing.
under the commercial,
Is there, I'm glad there's so much on commercial
Oh, let's
with all of
see,
our
right
commercial
here.
property in the city.
on page 3, a total site limit. It looks like we didn't, in planning commission, make a decision one way or another on this. The last sentence was, for purposes of calculating the maximum total lumens allowed, a maximum uniformity ratio of 15:1 shall be used where the site lighting in large areas such as parking is provided. I found a little more simplified
Oh, yeah.
language to use there. The ratio shall be calculated by combining the total lumen output of each artificial light source divided by the square footage of the parking lot area. Which
So
is
you want
a little simpler to,
He put a story problem in there for us.
yeah, so.
I'm terrible
so
with math, so.
the first one, you have to go through and you have to calculate each light at a 15:1 ratio to determine what the limit is. This other one, you just take the overall area of the parking area and divide it by the total lumen output.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So switch
it's
that
just
sentence out.
a simpler,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Way to calculate it.
Again, I'll just go ahead with as presented, and I think
Yep,
we're good.
yep, that sounds
Okay.
good.
works for me.
We gotta have a second before.
I
we
second.
Oh, you're done, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tricia seconds it.
Second it.
We'll start voting with Paul.
Go the other way.
Why do you hate this?
Don't you dare do this.
Come on, we can make.
It's not gonna be exciting because you already know what I'm gonna do.
True
I'm
story.
gonna proponent forever on
Anticlimactic.
this. It's gonna be anticlimactic. Do the right thing, Paul.
Yay.
Yay for Paul.
Aye, yes. What
Yes.
didn't we say?
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous
I don't.
with Jared absent.
You don't have to change anything, but now it just protects you.
I think we've done good.
Oh, over this issue, I've had 2 phone calls where I had apologies because they yelled at me.
What?
Oh, Nelson knows about it. He's seen it.
Yep.
Bad yeller?
I don't care
I
about
got
the
2
children.
phone call apologies.
All right, let's talk about the Skyhawk wheel bid.
Yelled at.
All right.
What are we doing? What?
Skyhawk well.
Yep.
Well, it looks like it's already done.
What do we have to make a decision?
Well, because we have to officially award it.
Yeah.
Well, then we're giving the paperwork according to what.
Well,
Listen, he's just, we're following the rules.
we have to dot our i's and cross our t's.
Hey, if you want it changed, then you better go start
So
running
did
for
we stick
bigger
with the
offices.
asphalt shingles on the road?
So we got, who wants to represent this? I don't know who wants to represent it. But we received, what, 5 bids?
4, 5.
They went through the bids, Aqua did, to look at it. Obviously, we, by our very code, would take the lowest bid, provided they can meet all of the requirements and their background gives us confidence in which they can perform the work. Right? And I believe that Aqua went through them and settled on Taurus, and then they gave us some of the references from others to back their decision. I don't know what to say more than that.
Where did this come in relation to where we thought it would be?
So.
Under or over? Because I was trying to figure that out.
So initially, back in 2016, when the numbers were put together, we thought this would be 1.125 million. After, of course, there was a little more cost with the drilling the well.
Our sand volleyball.
And some of the, your sand volleyball pit you have now. I don't know where the sand went to. Anybody know where it went to?
I know where it went.
Okay.
I know where it went.
Did you haul it out of there?
We got rid of it. We made it go
Why?
away.
We had a free sand volleyball
Yeah.
court.
You had St. George in the middle of Elk Ridge.
I mean, that cost us like $30,000
It was like
for that
Moab
sand.
down there.
That was expensive sand.
It was expensive sand.
Couldn't we have used it on the road during the winter?
We should have. That would have been a good way to get rid of it.
Unfortunately, now with the stormwater requirements, you can't.
Can't.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you can dump salt,
Yeah, I know.
sand, I don't know. But anyway, so we had a little bit with the well drilling, the protests, that it jumped up a little bit. After the design was done, February 9th, 2018, we put together a new estimate based on those costs, those increased costs there, and then also between that original estimate and this current estimate, the well house itself was increased in size a little bit so that we could have the generator inside and store it, a little bit of storage. Well, that'll act as storage till the new generator comes in. So the overall square footage of the well house increased a little bit. So at that point, it was estimated that this would be 1.4 million. And the actual bids, when we add Taurus's actual bid in there, with the actual well drilling that we've already completed, we're at 1.38 million.
So they put a change order in.
I know,
So-
yeah, what about that?
So,
That's why we have Aqua review.
Now, hold it.
Yeah.
Those numbers don't seem right to me. Do you?
It changed from when Robert and we talked on the opening, but if that's the... if
So those are better.
We like the numbers tonight, yes.
But are you missing something?
Is it,
We were at-
and I'm just going off.
We left with, we were gonna be 1.5 something, 1.5 million to
What?
pull out the door.
Whew, that sand volleyball court was expensive.
Sorry, he said this below, I don't know why that's not factored in. Says with engineering, surveying, and water rights protest costs, the overall project costs currently are 1.533.
Yes, there you go.
That's better.
Sorry, I
I mean,
don't
it's
know
not
why
better,
that
but it
wasn't
sounds
factored
better.
in, and I have these bold numbers here, and then that's down below the bold numbers.
What page?
Not sure why. You probably don't have this. I asked him to summarize it for me, because I knew I'd be coming down tonight, and he wouldn't, so. So you're right, 1.533.
Give me out.
So that's a over to, what are we over then? About 200,000.
Says he's saying here we've seen an increase of 16% overall on this. And this has been this was a really interesting time to bid it, to turn around and have these steel tariffs put in place while these bids were open. Rebar has been really interesting because our rebar here in Utah is typically always recycled and it's produced locally. And so recycled steel produced locally, as you heard, steel scrap prices are down.
Yeah.
And yet we watched the rebar numbers jump by 15 to 20% that day after the 25% tariffs were announced on steel. So
It is what it is.
So there's some, there's probably some portion of that 16% just has to do with the fact we're dealing with a lot of metal items there, and people have tried to buffer a little bit for those costs, but there's nothing we can do about it. There's no.
We could wait and see if it gets any better.
We can't wait.
I'll just say by experience, it seems like it.
So I put some numbers
It'll just be
together.
more profitable.
Make sure I get it right, Royce, will you? We looked at our current water fund, and in the current water fund, we had 2.5 million in savings. We have, obviously, if this project comes in at 1.5, right? Between, I'm just giving rough because it's not quite 50-50, but 50% of that would be in impact fees, 50% of it would be in non-impact fees, right? Non-restricted funds. That, when the math is all done, based on how much of that 2.5 is still in from impact fees and the other is not, that will leave us down to, we said, $300,000 in non-restricted funds left after this is all paid, and about 700, wasn't it, with impact fees somewhere in there? Am I right?
Can't remember that number. I remember the 300.
Right. So that's really our critical number, right? Because that's money we need to have in savings. So then the question became, how fast do we recover? Right? How fast do we recover based on our current water rates?
We are not raising them.
No, we're not.
Okay.
At least there's no plans to. So our recovery rate in the non-restricted funds, we figured it's going to be around $300,000 a year.
Somewhere in that, yes.
Right? Is about where it's going to come. Maybe 350, somewhere in that area.
So that's what will go back into savings.
So that'll go, every year that goes back into savings.
Okay.
So after the first year, we'll be up to about 500 and probably close to 600, I would say, in savings, non-restricted. And then we'll delay, or depending on what our situation is financially for the third phase, we'll just wait till we can cash flow that with ease.
Because up to this point, we get water into the system.
Because this will get water into the system.
So when they get this done, we can take another well offline and still move water in without having to okay,
Yes.
all right.
That's where this.
All right, well that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, that gives us phase 2, which is water into the system.
What's phase 3 again? For those of us.
Water system is upgrading all our telemetry, our upper pumps.
Oh, yeah.
To do all the
Making it
the
so-
generators.
Okay.
Right. Critical items. Don't get me wrong. These are very critical items for our water system, right? We
And
need
none of
to-
that can be paid for with impact fees? That
Well,
stuff?
percentage of it.
Percentage of it.
Percentage.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to leave some money in there. If we have a major water line break, that
We have
300,000 will be gone. I mean, that's like what, 1,000 feet of pipe in the ground?
So we still have a number of projects that we need to fund, right? We still have a number of projects that we need to fund. So it's not like, we have all this money laying around. But I just want to make sure that on the non-restricted side, that we're not cutting ourselves short in case we have an unforeseen emergency, right?
What's the other alternative? Bond?
No. Well,
That would be the thing. We can see right now we're cash flowing.
We're cash
Yeah.
So
flowing.
we all still have that opportunity. If we have the big water break, we can go for financing there.
Let's
So
not
right now,
borrow
we're
until we
trying
have
to just
to.
cash flow this.
Yeah.
Which just totally makes sense with the money we have set there in savings.
Does this include putting a generator on this new one?
No.
That's
But is
phase
it gonna
three.
be all
That's
wired
phase
and
three.
ready to go?
Yeah, conduit will be ran.
If we need a generator, we'll call
Okay,
you and
that's-
you'll bring it
Yeah,
down.
the conduit
Well,
will be,
that's what I want to.
Yeah, it'll be all,
it'll be
Yeah.
there, just ready to.
Yeah, okay, that's what I want to know.
Yep. All
that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot.
I don't know if we have a choice. The only choice we can say is you could say, let's go bond.
So the percentage that's coming from impact fees, that's gonna cover part of that cost, is there any way to, how was that amount determined? Is it just based on the percentage of the project that we're allowed to charge
Yeah,
impact
that's
fees for? It's like
capital
It's all
60% or whatever the percentage is, okay.
It's all defined in the capital
All right.
facilities plan.
I'm just asking that because I know the public's gonna go, well, why don't you just take and just cash flow with the impact fees? You got enough there to do
Because
it.
then only the people that paid them can use it. How do you divide that one?
I mean, there are some tricks you can do, but we're not into the tricky mode.
We're more
Yeah,
the.
okay.
We're more the, we're more
Right.
the,
I thought you were a politician.
really, really. I probably wouldn't have said the things I've said on camera if I was a politician.
Well, we're not federal politicians that can balance the budget by taking out more debt.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we need to do for this?
We just,
Do we have to do anything or,
Well-
I mean, it's already done, right?
Well, it's not done. I mean, we still
I
have
mean,
to.
it didn't. I mean,
So
it's done.
we have to,
Accept the bid.
amend the budget.
Yeah, through the accepting of the bid, we want to start the procedures to amend the
We
budget.
need to, so part of the motion has to be to start the procedures to amend the budget, right? So we'll have a hearing.
Yay.
No, I was just wondering if there was an end date in the contract when they had to be finished.
Don't know that, I'm sure.
Well,
There is.
Yeah, there is.
There's a certain one right off the top of
He
my
also
head.
wants to know if they're gonna be allowed to close
They
the
incur
road.
penalties if,
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, that's all written into it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the date.
And they-
that's fine, I just.
But
wanted
yeah,
to
that's
throw
all
it in
written
there.
in.
Just so they can't just keep pushing it off.
Yeah,
No.
yep.
What do you think the worst would ever done?
So we're gonna have to amend the budget.
He's been around this block a few more times than you have. He has the right to be cynical.
In 2 weeks, you're gonna vote to amend the budget. If you're not willing to amend the budget in 2 weeks, then don't approve this. Am I making sense?
Didn't have to close the road.
We have to amend the budget.
Yeah, obviously. I mean,
I'm not writing a personal check for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
come on,
that's,
Nelson.
But I don't want any,
This-
I'm just saying,
There's
no
one
no
person
trickery
that
here.
can.
No.
We have to amend the budget, and if you're not willing to make a change on the budget in 2 weeks, don't approve the money now. And with that said, let's get a motion to
Pointed to you, Nelson.
do something.
okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the Skyhawk well bid with the requirement that we start the procedure to amend our current budget to allow for this process to go forward.
Which will result in a public hearing.
Yep.
Motion's on the table.
A second.
There's a second. All in favor?
I,
We should have done it that time.
Any
hey, we're
opposed?
not done.
Me opposed? No? Passes
You can't say
unanimously with
aye
Jared
and nay.
absent. All right, we're going to go back up to line item number 1. I think we've got ourselves a soon-to-be, hopefully, Eagle Scout. That's the plan, right?
We're gonna use the-
Hayden Ingram, is that right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Great, Hayden, it's all yours.
Are we gonna use the? Yeah, I don't.
If you guys wanna look at this, pricing, this one's more secure.
For you.
I'm Hayden Ingram and I'm gonna do my Eagle Scout project. We're gonna plant trees on the east side of the main Oakridge Drive, the new street, so if you're going up, it's to your left on that side. And so the first thing that we're gonna do is we need to get a water line installed at the top so we can connect bubblers and then we're gonna bring some. We're gonna take the edge down, so we're gonna like make it all flat, and then we're gonna dig the trench for the water line and install that, and then dig the individual holes for the trees, and then plant the trees, and it's gonna be a big project. And there's gonna be about like, I think there's like 32 trees or something like that. And then we're gonna put down a weed barrier, and then I don't know. I don't think we're gonna install the rocks. I think it's I think we're gonna maybe let the city do it. It could be either like a service project or $2,000 worth of labor. I think it says it on there. And make sure we have the proper safety. Call Blue Stakes to make sure we don't interfere with any gas lines or anything. And then we're going to close the one side of the lane so we can no one gets hurt when we happen on the projects. Is there any questions about?
So,
Ask them why they close the road. Aren't you?
yeah, so, hang on guys. Yeah, explain the financing.
We have a grant for, I think, city. Yeah, well, yeah, for like 7,500, and so that will pay for everything except for the rock, but it will include the mulch. So that's why we might have the city do the rock, because that might be too big even the project. And so that will cover everything except for the rock. So that's what you have to.
And what's the timing of that grant?
I think we have to use it until the end of May. So or be something like that. So we're gonna do the project end of April. So yeah, that's how we're gonna finance it.
So at the end of the project, water lines will be in, trees will be in, graded, weed barrier down,
No rocks.
right?
Yeah.
Ready, 100%, so just complete it with the addition of the rock.
So how is the weed barrier going to be held
It'll all be
until,
secured by
with
the,
like staples or something?
Staple.
Yeah.
that's all part of that. That's all part of that bid on there, it shows.
Well,
The state,
yeah,
With those long spikes.
You'll have those spikes.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I just need the rocks.
What was discussed in our last meeting when this was presented to us, I guess the trees, Dell, you can correct me if I'm wrong, are going to be similar in nature to what is already there, so it kind of is harmonious.
So they'll do
Yeah.
the thing, right?
Yeah,
We're planning on three sections there. There will be 3 pines on each end, and then there will be eight trees in between, then 3 pines, 8 more trees, 3 pines. So you've got 5 sections of spruce, actually, is what we're doing, they're calling their spruce. And then you'll have the balance in the 10-gallon trees. We met with Brad Olson, and he's getting all of those trees. He said if the holes were dug, that his guys could actually set them in the holes, which would be good, for that Saturday. Second Saturday of April, Hayden was planning on, after it's bladed, I'll trench that, and then the second Saturday in April, Hayden and the crew will be laying the line, and then the 4th Saturday will be our Arbor Day for the city. We are sending that out in the newsletter, and Hayden and his crew will be planting the trees and staking the trees and putting down that weed yard.
That's the 4th Saturday?
4th Saturday.
So if we did the rock, we'd want to follow up real close behind that. So we would get whoever to do the rock, like on the Monday.
what Brad Olson said is if you wanted, he said there's a couple of options. He said it'd be a couple of thousand if his guys did all the labor on it. He said if you want to, he'd send one guy up with the Bobcat if you had a crew to just spread the
We're gonna probably have him place the rock.
It's good stuff. Right.
So we would need to just make sure that you're committed to that date, because we'd commit to the following date to have it completed, so that would be a finished project.
Yeah, we recommend as many people as it takes.
Now, this, we outlay the money, right?
Right, we outlay it.
We would do that and then apply for the grant and get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Based on matching.
Matching funds. But we will, all of those, we will.
And labor.
The labor will run it up to way over our match.
Okay. Absolutely. Questions?
This will finish that Parkway, and I think that is the greatest, this is one of the nicest entries of any city in Utah, in my opinion.
Are you
Smile every time.
ready to make a commitment?
Yeah, we want Tricia there on every Saturday.
I love scouts.
Yeah.
I love scouts as much as Mayor loves scouting. I only had one son, the Lord knew. Because it's mom that gets it, not him.
Last one.
Last one.
So we need a motion for this also? Is that what you're saying
To spend money? To approve the rocks.
Yeah. Well, we gotta approve all the money because we gotta front all the money, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, we'd want to do that, including the money for the rock.
I feel like, David,
Right.
you're going to make that motion.
so altogether was it 9,200 then, because the rock was on there separate?
Or is it 98?
98?
Let's see, 75 and 48. It's 2,800 for the rock, 2,005.
It's 12.5.
Hold on, let's get out a calculator. What?
Man, we're getting different numbers and I've got mine in here, so.
I think that's the,
So that's the total for all this here.
yeah.
And then the rock is.
The landscape rocks, that was the budget that he gave us.
Oh, and then 2,000 to put them out
For labor to install them.
Right.
this here.
Right. So it's actually 51, but this is gonna move up into here, I think. The mulch will go up into here.
And that'll stay the same or no?
Well, that'll add to that.
That'll add to that.
As long as that number is 7,500
Yeah,
or
that
less,
grant,
that's what the grant money
we're
will be.
gonna maximize that 7,500.
Okay.
Just give us a number.
Well, that's what we're,
And I'd say,
Add plus.
I would say 5,000 on the rock.
Yeah, because it was 4,800 on there.
Give us a little bit of
So
room.
75.
That's not very much room.
That's not very much.
Can we have a labor party go pick rocks up too?
No, I can't get people on board in a carnival booth for an hour in this city.
We're not gonna do this as a volunteer project
No.
on the road, because we need it to be,
Yeah, no.
no.
no,
But
we don't want somebody getting hit.
we
Yeah.
want to get it in on a weekday.
Sue the city
Be
for
done.
overhead?
Yeah.
you have fewer people
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So it's really, what, 72 and 5, 75 to start with a
There's
$7,500 grant.
350 down there that makes that closer to 7,500. The mulch
Yeah.
is in the bottom part.
Yeah.
75 plus 5.
So it's 12.5.
That's maybe what you want to
Maybe
do.
we
is
should do
just-
13.
I would just
12
round
fine.
it. I would just
I feel like we're
round it.
forgetting something.
The reason the mulch is in the bottom is just because it's going to be
And you're getting
placed when the
75 back.
last.
And that 75 back is for sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we get it done.
Finish the project.
Yeah, that's why it's time
And do
sensitive.
you want to know who submits the grant?
What? Actually, we've done that 3 other
Yeah.
grants, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah,
wondering.
Dell knows this system very well.
Yeah, no, that's good. I was just, I don't know, so.
So really,
Been asking for this for
5,
years.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we, as a council, approve the funds for Hayden Ingram's Eagle Scout project in the amount of $12,500, with knowing we'll get $7,500 back from the grant.
sounds good. Second?
I'll
Second.
Trish seconds it?
Wilson.
You second it? All in favor?
Aye.
I don't think she'll ever second, so this is what.
Any
Yeah,
opposed?
that's why I let her have it.
Any opposed?
I was gonna say how old
Okay, carried 4 to 0.
One missing. One absent.
Okay, great. There you go.
Good job, Dave.
Please keep us informed. Please keep us informed if there's any delays or anything like that, because we will now go
Yeah.
through scheduled times for the rock to be listed.
Yeah, it will be. I'll be on there all night long.
You want this back, Hayden? Thank you.
Potential option on the rock.
Okay.
That's right. We will talk after the meeting, but I think there might be an option to do it for less.
Okay.
And more efficiently.
Are you gonna do it?
Oh, no. I know somebody with some tools.
All right. We have a financial report to look at,
Yeah, this is,
if you're so inclined.
I don't mind. It's only 8:30.
Tricia.
I drank 6 Dr. Pepper 10s today.
No wonder you're here. No wonder you were here at 10 to 6.
You are out of.
Budget.
Oh, my word.
Budget.
What is the way forward?
Is that a FaceTime?
No.
What'd you say, financials?
Come on, let's get done.
The financials PDF?
Budget. You have to just look at it and say, let's move on to the next item.
I didn't say anything that gave
no
me
action.
cause to be
I
alarmed
didn't either.
when I reviewed
Well,
it.
this is what the auditor wanted us to do, was once a month.
Well, sure.
Right?
Yeah. So this is a
You'll
matter.
notice that we're 100.37% of our property taxes have come in, so that's good.
So that means we're above what we
I've also
anticipated.
noticed the bookmobile is over, or is almost whatever. No, express, wait, is it?
Bookmobile.
They have the
Sorry.
bookmobile anymore.
90, no, express bill pay service is 94%.
Okay, if you want to know where we're over,
But that's what don't we do that and then sometimes it's not, never mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We had that talk
we're
about.
still tracking over obviously on our water, right, the park. And we're tracking, I think other than that, we're probably tracking pretty good, aren't we, Royce?
How are we gonna catch up?
We don't have any areas of concern.
You're worried about the park stuff? The park?
With the water.
The water, but that was no different than the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but are we ever gonna get that to?
Can we go on? Any other discussion?
No, we're done.
No, we're good, let's
Let's
move or lose it.
approve some council minutes.
Oh, this is our city.
This is the joint
The joint one.
work session.
Yeah, you were there, see, right there.
I know I was there. That's why I skipped the next one.
These are taken directly from Payson's minutes, so.
Yeah, because why would you rewrite them? Don't reinvent the wheel if you don't have to.
Just cut and paste.
Well, that would have been nice.
How come it doesn't say that I threatened to take their council seats? That's what I want to know. I did. I threatened to.
Okay, we digress.
Yes.
Well, but it's not in the minutes.
Well, then amend the minutes.
Then amend the minutes.
Now's your chance to make it right.
Or make a motion, please.
Yes.
If you're so moved. Because I'm ready to whack this gavel.
All right, well, I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the city council meeting from work joint session with Payson of February 21st, 2018.
Second.
Aye.
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. How about somebody to get us out of this session?
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
And go back into the
second
work
that.
session.
Go back into the work session.
Have a second.
I'll
No
second.
second.
I'll second it.
No, let's stay.
All in favor?
Can't get enough of this.
All in favor?
Let's make them vote.
Any opposed? Carries.